My name is Nadia. I knit and I sew on YouTube, and this is a podcast. It's not, because podcasts are usually like available on Spotify and audio only. But this is a video where I go through all of the things that I've been making recently. I had to check. It's been since March 16th, I think, since I last made a podcast. Which is a long time ago. Yeah, I have a stack of knits. It is May 21st. It's the day after my birthday. I feel a bit rough. I didn't go crazy last night, but I did have a few glasses of very nice wine. And yeah, I feel 30, you know? Like I feel like I'm definitely 30. That's how I feel. Yeah, I'm just gonna get straight into it. I have a lot to catch you guys up on. I have, let's see here, a stack of knits, which is revealing my inner goth, I feel like is the sort of the vibe here. These are finished pieces. I have quite a lot on the needles currently. And then I have a mega, I'm staring at it right now, a mega yarn haul, which if you've been around, you know that I've been saying that I don't want to buy more yarn and that I have way too much. But yeah, this is a bit of a landslide. Some of it, there's reason to it. Some of it was because I was traveling. Some of it that has no reason to it, and it's just me. It's just me being completely excessive. So I definitely don't want to be this consumptive. Is that a word? Consumerist. And it happened, and I'm not going to feel sad about it. It's beautiful yarn. So yeah. Whatever, we'll get into it. But the yarn haul most likely will be a separate video. I just think I have too much to catch up on that I don't think I'll be able to talk about it here and keep the video somewhere shorter than like 10 hours. Yeah, let's just get straight into it. I am wearing my Aura top, my modified Aura top. You've seen a bunch. I'm not going to go into it too much, but if this is your first time seeing me, this is a dupe of the Mani color block, color something, Argyle. What did they call it? I don't know. It's been nice for this weather. Okay. I actually filmed my last video like a week ago, and in that time the sunny weather has kind of left us. It's sunny today, but it's also like dropped to like 4 degrees this morning. So that was our summer. That's all we'll get. I'm happy that we had it. We had it for like a week and a half, and it was just glorious sun. And I was able to sit out there pretty much every single day. It was so nice. So yes, I am blessed. Yesterday on my birthday, I had a really nice time. We went to the Japanese gardens in Kildare, which were a surprise. They were really lovely. And then I got bit by a horse. We went to see like a stud. It was like attached to the Japanese gardens. There's this stud farm, and I said hello to a foal who bit my hand. And it's fine. Didn't break the skin, but yeah, that was fun. And then we went for brunch. And then we came home, and then we went for dinner, and yeah, we had a really nice time. And we played the finale of Split Fiction, which was it's just fun. I just love playing co-op games. So yeah, we had a really nice time. Finished pieces. Let's go in chronological order. All the way at the bottom, I finished. Okay, this is my typical Henley. This is a pattern by Typical Bliss, it's in the name, and it's a big black Henley, which I love. I've worn a lot since I made it. I'm just looking at my shoulder pickup and seeing how bad it looks. No, it looks pretty good. Well done. It's too cold. I mean, sorry, it's the other way. It's too warm for it right now, so I haven't worn it in a little while. But which is why it's horribly creased. What can I say about this that's interesting and that you haven't heard before? The sleeves, I made a modification right at the last minute. This was supposed to be like a very like plain, boring black jumper, and it is mostly. But I just at the last minute, I had plenty of yarn. I did this just for fun. I added this different color on the sleeves. I just happened to see an image of another jumper that I'd saved a long while back that has a completely different colored sleeve, and it goes like the whole jumper is black, but then it goes gray, red, and then yellow. I didn't do the grey bit just because, I mean, I have quite a lot of this yarn. The yarn is Drops Air, Drops Kid Silk, and Woolly Knit 4-ply fingering weight cone, British wool 4-ply, all of them in black. And I had loads of the Drops Air, which is kind of like the main yarn. So I didn't want to like not use it because I bought it specifically for this project. I don't have another plan. So yeah, I didn't want to do a whole different sleeve in a different color, but yeah, I just added this little bit of interest at the end. I think I was just kind of bored. And I had a good time doing strange things on the sleeves of my previous cardigan that I made, the previous finished object, I think in the last podcast maybe, or maybe it was one back, I'm not sure. I'm just kind of into this like weird little details at the moment, so I added this. The only downside is these yarns, oh, I think it's like 3 held together. I think it's off the top of my head. This is Debbie Bliss Luxury Tweed Aran in red, a strand of Filcolana sock yarn in chili red, something like that. Chili, cayenne in cayenne, 574, is that the number? And then knitting for olive, pomegranate, kid silk, mohair, and then just the yellow, I don't even know, I've no idea. But the Aran tweed is a lot heavier than the Drops Air, which is like it's a blown yarn, it's very fluffy. So if you sort of compare these, this one is a lot heavier, and they're the same length. I think when I blocked them, they came out the same length, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I wonder if, yeah, see, the same length. But I wonder if over time, the fact that this has like almost like a weight at the end will sort of stretch out the rest of the sleeve or just cause problems. It just feels a bit strange. But you know, they blocked out to the same width, so all of that's fine. And yeah, overall, I love this. I wore it a bunch until it was too hot to wear it. I'll probably wear it a lot in autumn. I also added 3 sort of off-white buttons, which used to be more off-white. Now they're slightly blue toned because I did block them with the yarn. No, actually, no, sorry. I'm completely wrong. That's not what happened. I had 2 of these buttons in stash and I needed a 3rd one. And I knew I'd bought more originally, and then I remembered that I put this one on a pair of jeans that I made a while back. So I actually just cut it off that pair of jeans. Did I add another button? Yeah, I did. I think I replaced the button. I cut it off, it was sort of the main buttonhole on my pair of jeans. And I cut it off to sort of reunite them because this was the perfect button. I looked at all of my off-white buttons, but this was the button. But then when I sewed it on, this one had a blue cast to it because clearly I'd washed it with the denim, and the denim had bled onto the button, which I think is made out of, I think it's just plastic. So yeah, I don't know why that happened, but for a while it was really bothering me that these were like a kind of creamy off-white and this one was slightly blue toned. But with time, I don't think you can tell. So yeah, all good. No change. I think the only thing I would do is probably elongate it. I think it's a tiny bit short maybe still. If you've watched any of my videos this year, you know that's kind of a problem. It's also a problem for another one that's coming up. I really just need to start knitting for longer, or actually extending the length of the pattern, because I think what I'm doing is that I'm knitting to the length that the pattern states, and then binding off at that point. And then, but I actually think I need more length to feel, I think I'm knitting to a standard cropped length for me, but I actually think I prefer, Jesus Christ, words, I prefer a longer length. So yeah, I think probably as standard, I should just start knitting 5 centimeters more before moving to ribbing, depending on what I'm doing with the ribbing when I'm knitting somebody else's pattern. Finished piece number 1. I super happy. Another staple in the wardrobe. Yeah, I'm psyched. Finished piece number 2, which you've seen, is my Simone Rocha cardigan. I love this guy. I've worn her so much. Even though she's quite a fancy cardigan, I've still found the time to wear her. Details. This is the Sanna cardigan. I knit it in drops mohair in black again, and woolly net cone in black. British wool full ply. There we go. Held together with this lace pattern, which is a little bit hard to see. It has blocked out beautifully though, which I'm so pleased by. Yeah, I knit the Sanna cardigan and then I zhuzhed it to just make it more my style. The Sanna cardigan is a gorgeous pattern. It's more like spring summer, and I think a lot of the suggested yarns are like summer yarns or like cotton merino blends, things like that. Things that show lace really well, which, you know, is kind of the point of knitting lace. But I don't know, I think it's just, it leans too on the feminine side for the way that my style ends up shaking out. So yeah, I just really wanted to knit something a bit more complex, and then I also wanted to dupe a Simone Rocha cardigan because they're beautiful, they're expensive. A lot of them contain a load of polyamide in them, which I don't think is necessary. I love Simone Rocha to bits, but I've just been looking at a lot of her stuff recently and I'm like, the materials just don't match with the price. I think I want to wear some Simone Rocha earrings for my wedding, and just like even the gold posts that the crystals are on are plated, like they're not even metal, and like they're not even like solid gold, and yeah, it's costume jewelry. I don't know, it's just, I think sometimes designers are just to kind of take the piss, but I still buy into them because I'm an idiot, but I do like to dupe where I can because of it, and yeah, this is my dupe. Again, I'm not going to go too far into it because I just literally, my last video is all about the finishing touches that I did on this cardigan, including the scallop edge. If you were all on the edge of your seats trying to figure out if I was going to figure out how to do a scallop edge with using short rows, I'm sure you'll be really happy to know that I did figure it out, and it's awesome, and I need to make a tutorial. I promised one person, I think, that I need to make a video tutorial that shows how to make it, and they're right, and I do, but there's a lot of things going on. I tend to procrastinate these type of things. If I tell you that the video will be live by the time that this video is out and that I will link to it, the people pleaser in me will force me to make that video and include it. Is this a way to hack productivity? Is you just promise on camera that you will do things in time with the video? Maybe. I could just cut this section out. So it's essentially just short rows and then you do an Italian bind off afterwards. And I suspect it looks pretty good here because this is black mohair. But I suspect that this will probably look a lot less neat on non-black hairy yarns. But let me try and let me see if I can make a half decent tutorial that people can follow. I sewed on beads. It makes the shoulders kind of heavy, but it hasn't really affected it. I also love the fit. I love the fit. I was very, very worried about the fit when I first sort of knit it together, did the 3-needle bind off, but then I just blocked the ever-loving shit out of these sleeves, and then now I'm really happy. Also, these little bows that I've mostly been like sewn on with very tiny, although there is a little bit of thread coming out here. These bows that I've sort of featured around everywhere, I've mostly sort of like permanently sewn on with little stitches. This one's quite annoying though because it I don't know if you can see in the back, but I did loop it through the garter stitch along the sleeves, and so it means I actually can't pull my sleeves up anymore because I did it tight so that it doesn't bunch, but it also means it has no stretch because these are grosgrain ribbons. So literally since I finished it, I finished it and then I immediately went to Denver. I took it to Denver. I wore it about 3 times in Denver, despite it really not being the weather for it. I came back. I don't think I really did it. Oh yeah, I was only back for 3 days. And then I went to Porto and then I wore it twice in Porto, or at least once in Porto. And then I've also worn it at least once since then, and I think I might wear it tomorrow too. So this is how much I love this thing, is that this doesn't usually happen for me. I don't usually just like throw things on and wear them every chance that I get. So this really is. Ray made fun of me because I keep saying that this is my favorite knit ever, but apparently I say that about every knit that I make. But this is my favorite knit ever. I'm in love. Oh, and the reel did really well. Now we're actually moving on to a couple of things that you've never seen in a podcast anyway. Actually, you've seen it in the last video, but this is this is something I finished. It was a very last minute and quick project. Born out of necessity. I was bringing my water bottle, I can see over there, my Yeti, with me to Porto, and I had been carrying my other water bottle around in Denver, and it was really annoying. Like I was struggling to find like what bags to put it in, and you know, it was so heavy, but I still wanted it with me. And I knew I needed a holder, so I made a holder. This is a self-draft pattern. I wanted to crochet it, and I sat here on the couch with my crochet needle and the yarn, and I was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing and I need a tutorial. So I abandoned that idea very quickly, and I made this out of knitting instead because it was something that I knew how to do in a pinch. Yeah, I made this. It's it's garter, one big panel of like a lace mesh stitch, garter, another panel, more garter, and then a garter strap. And that's it essentially. And then I had to finish off the bottom because obviously I did it all in the round, and so I started off here at the bottom and just knit in the round on magic loop. I think I used my Chiagu, so I don't even think I did it on magic loop at all, which is awesome. I'm gonna give myself more work, but I will release this as a pattern, or at least I will write up what I did, the recipe for this, because it's very simple. I had a lot of fun making it. Why gatekeep? That's what I'm trying to say. I used Lang Yarn's Amalfi, which I had just like one skein in stash that I think I thrifted a while ago. It's cotton and polyamide viscose something. It's like a coated cotton. I also think it's nice because it's kind of flat. It's definitely a fingering weight. And it's very shiny, so I think it's quite durable. It's something that will last really well. But I also think a mercerized cotton would be a really good shout.
Hi, it's Nadia from the future. My camera cut out at this point. I think it overheated. The really fun thing is that my microphone kept going, and so I have all of the audio. So I did briefly consider doing like a dramatic reenactment of everything that I said over 15 minutes.
So yeah, I just did like 6 rows of garter, however many rows of the lace, another 6 rows of garter, and then when I got to the top here, I just bound off some stitches.
Turns out it's a lot harder to do than Instagram makes it look. So yeah, I'm just gonna briefly recap what I talked about in this tiny little segment. I finished talking about my water bottle. I went into more details about how it's constructed, but I'm gonna be writing up the pattern anyway, so that's already covered. I did just note that I had intended to knit it shorter so that it would stretch with time, and in fact it has stretched since I made it way more than I thought it would. So if you are to make anything similar, it will definitely sort of just bear in mind that there's a lot of stretch. It's getting longer and longer every time that I wear it. Then I moved on and briefly talked about some knit scrunchies. I made 9 scrunchies for my hen do, which was in early May. I wanted to gift them as a surprise to my hens. And I have no photo evidence of them anymore because I gave them away, but I do have this reel which basically shows every single one that I made, and I used a really basic free pattern that I found on Ravelry. I tried to keep it as simple as possible. I used all hand-dyed mohairs with a strand of lace, and I did it on I think 4mm needles across the board, and I got to use my chiagus, which was great. I'll talk about those next video. And then I talked about my tabi socks. These are just regular vanilla socks that I added a sort of like toe separation, like a split toe sock recipe that I found on Ravelry. And I'm making these to go with my Margiela tabi shoes so that they fit nicely into the shoe. You can buy tabi socks from Muji, but I just thought it'd be fun to sort of break into the world of like freaky girl socks. Yeah, I think I'm waxing lyrical about the yarn coming up. Apologies for this segment. I'm glad we fixed it. Okay, bye.
That was weird. Don't know why that turned off. This is Life in the Long Grass, jade grey fingering sock yarn, whatever. It's beautiful. I've now finally understood why it's called jade grey, is because I think that's the name of the parrot, which is like a grey, or maybe it's not, maybe I just associate this with a parrot, but it has these little specks of like red in it, in this, like, it's beautiful. I've talked about this yarn a lot. It's a really gorgeous yarn. I really, really love it. I'm excited to knit the second sock, but I move at a glacial pace when it comes to socks, which does not bode well for the next thing I want to talk about, which is a sock cal. I talked about it in my last video. I have had a few people, at least like 4 people say they'd be interested in a cal. So for those 4 people, I will do it for you. I am really excited to get started. And it's related to some of the yarns that I have, which I've already shared actually, so I can show you. These are Drops Fiesta that I bought in a recent Drops order, which is like a DK weight sock yarn. I was like using a lot of these out in the, you know, when I was sitting outside in the garden, and so they're just like covered in like weird bits of grass or whatever. Yeah, I have some sock yarns here which I'm excited to use in a Cool Girl Sock Cal. Is that the name? Cool Girl Sock Cal. Hanan, I'm sorry, you have sock cal competition. Although I'm sure feasibly a lot of people could participate in both. Anyway, there's no rules. I mean, whatever. Join me if you want to. Over the summer, probably until about maybe let's say like September, October, I want to do a Cool Girl Sock Cal where we do weird socks, interesting socks, whatever that means to you. I don't mind. The examples that I shared last time were in Tarja, specifically these dotty socks I really want to try and recreate. I did have a thought that I was like, oh, if you do in Tarja, that means that you have to seam the socks. That's okay, we can do that. The other examples are lace socks, crochet socks, mesh socks, cool socks for your trainers. If you do this sock, I did see a couple of people talk about like having made crochet socks before. I feel like knitters of lace socks will probably tell me off for not knowing what the hell I'm talking about. But if you make like a crochet or a super lacy sock in the cuff, I'd probably recommend actually just knitting the bottom part, the part that's on your foot, so that it's actually comfortable. I saw a couple of comments of people that saying if they made crochet socks, it was horribly uncomfortable on the foot in shoes. So that's the tip of the limited research that I did. Primarily, the idea is socks with cutouts. These are kind of the ones that I really want to make this season. So you can participate with your own patterns, with your own ideas, whatever you think is a cool girl sock. Just use the hashtag, which I will put up somewhere. But I will also create a doc, like a working doc, of like pattern instructions for primarily, I think, the Simone Rocha cutout socks, because they're the ones that are kind of hot. The Miu Miu cut off socks is just a sock and then you stop. So yeah, I won't do. Maybe I'll include that in the doc as instructions. And then if you guys are working along and you have comments or whatever, feel free to comment on there. But yeah, as I work that sock up, I will add the instructions. I want to do it in a DK weight because these yarns are a DK weight, and I want to do it in a fingering weight. And yes, I will publish that doc along with the cowl whenever I do that. I want to sort of build on the momentum of the last video, so let's get this out, let's do it. And yeah, just bear in mind that I knit particularly socks at like the slowest pace imaginable, so definitely there will be people that will have finished 7 pairs of socks by the time I knit one. So yeah, don't wait for me, don't wait up, and go be free, do cool girl socks. I will try and like post like a mood board maybe, or just like an inspiration. I'll link some patterns that I think are appropriate for the cowl if you do want to follow a pattern, and then I'll also link like a basic sock pattern if you've never knit socks before. Depending on how this goes, I might do a giveaway. I have a lot of yarns that I'd love to destash, and I could definitely sort of pull into my sock yarns and yeah, find some things that are cool and do a giveaway with those. It doesn't sound like the most exciting, that, oh, just take my yarns that I don't want. So maybe I'll buy some things and do a giveaway at the end. But yeah, really, it's long term, and I won't be sponsored because nobody knows who I am. Okay, moving on from socks, because really I have nothing to show. I really need to finish this one sock. Oh yeah, and then I think in terms of the rules as well, you don't have to finish a pair. I probably won't finish a pair by the end of this. Maybe in the DK weight, I feel like I could do that, but I definitely won't finish a pair by the end of this cowl, but I'll just probably focus on doing like single socks in all of the different iterations, and then complete out my collection later on. So yeah, don't worry about getting the full pair, or even finishing any of it. If you're making cool girl socks, use the hashtag. Let's do works in progress, works that I'm working on. I think I currently have 2 active whips. Is that true? Yeah, 2 active whips. And I'm gonna very briefly touch on this one because, actually no, let's do the exciting one first. This isn't a project bag, it's a tote bag. So work in progress that you haven't seen at all and is like 99% finished. Yeah, I've moved silently on this one. This is my Alma sweater. In the last podcast, I had shared this West Yorkshire Spinners fleece, which I had 1 skein of, and then I went back and bought 2 skeins of, and then I wanted to knit something with navy to make a striped jumper, and then we did yarn recommendations for mohair because I couldn't find anything that matched with it, and one of my favorite experiences of being on the internet recently, just the amount of, I cannot tell you the amount of messages or like comments on that video, but also like messages that I've gotten on Instagram of people just out of the blue, like even months later, recommending mohairs for this yarn, which is just so sweet. Like, it's just so lovely. That I feel like if there's one thing that yarn enthusiasts can get behind, is finding a mohair match in in this like limey green shade. So I have found now, guys, call off the dogs, call off everything. The search is over. I found the yarn that matches it, and I've knitted like 99% of a jumper right now. So yeah, definitely found the yarn match in the Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the color Eve Green, which was one of the yarns that somebody used, or a couple of people used on Ravelry as like a pair. And it was one of the few pairs that I could see with mohair for this yarn. I think actually a lot of people have opted to use this yarn without mohair just because it is so beautiful and so dimensional, and probably is rustic enough that it won't need that like felting support. Like I often use mohair if I think a yarn is going to felt because, or sorry, not felt, pill, because it hides the pills, and it's like mohair is quite durable. So it, yeah, I just feel like it's a lot better. If I know a yarn is going to pill, I'll add in mohair, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But I feel like this yarn probably doesn't need it. But I did want a mohair jumper. That was my vision for this jumper. So yeah, I found this match. It's not a perfect match in the skein, but then when you hold them together, I think it really pulls, like this lighter color pulls out all of the golden tones in here, and they are actually just really beautiful together. And you don't like lose any of this dimension, which I think comes from the fact this is a blue face Leicester mix, and I think that comes from the fact that the yarn at a basic level, like at an undyed level, is heathered with black, I want to say. What do I know about sheep breeds? Yeah, I think that's where that lovely, lovely dimension is coming from, and you don't lose it with this mohair, which I think is great. One of the main motivating factors for picking this one, a lot of people recommend it, and I think actually the perfect match visually, if you look at like online screenshots and things, was probably the Knit Picks Aloft mohair. I can't remember the color name. It looked like a perfect match. But I just, for 3 skeins of mohair, I wasn't going to make a Knit Picks order. I didn't need anything else from Knit Picks. I didn't really want to pay customs. I was going to the US. I probably could have done it, but I really wanted to cast on this jumper as well. So I could find, it's a British yarn, which is usually annoying because it means I would have to pay customs. But I ordered it on Amazon. Who knew that Amazon did Rowan Kid Silk Haze in quite a lot of colors as well. And I got it really quickly. So that's good, because I think in Ireland there are only so many sources of mohair that I know of. That, I mean, I could probably go from Europe as well, but you know, like I think we stock, obviously Drops Kid Silk. This is Knit is now starting to stock Sanna Gone, the mohair, tin silk mohair, but only certain colors. And then the other ones, there aren't that many more that you can get your hands on. So yes, we're quite limited in terms of mohairs that I can buy, that I can see in person, or that I can sort of buy and receive quickly. So this was a good thing to know. I mean, I abhor Amazon, but I do use it when I need to. Unfortunately. Oh yeah, the only thing about ordering from Amazon was that you could order 2 balls and you could get it the next day. You could order 1 ball and get it the next day. If you ordered 3 balls, you had to wait a month and pay extra charges or so. I think it was something to do with quantities and weights or whatever. So I just made 2 orders. I had Prime. I didn't pay anything extra. So I ordered 2 and then I ordered 1, and they were the same dye lot. They came from the same person. I just had 2 packages instead of 1. And it was really dumb the way that they did the restriction, but that's how I circumnavigated it. Okay, so that's the yarn. This is the jumper. This is the Alma sweater by Kiss Kiss Rhinestones. I believe her name is Leia. And I'm not going to say I test knitted this pattern because I started late. I didn't join the test at the beginning, and then it's finished now. Like the test is over, the pattern's been published, and I didn't really give any feedback because I was really behind, and a lot of the feedback that I thought of was already sort of written up in the doc. So yeah, I don't think I'm not going to say I tested it. I'm going to say this was a preview knit, and that I basically just had a preview copy of the pattern. It is a 17 stitch gauge, thereabouts. I think I'm at 17 stitches. Bang on. Jesus Christ, I've never been bang on gauge in my life. Literally bang on 4 inches. Okay, so maybe not 10 centimeters. Okay, it's looking more like 16 and a half. Anyway, pretty goddamn close to gauge. Even though I'm knitting a worsted, I'd say, and it's a DK. Like hers is just one strand of a DK weight yarn, and I'm using a DK weight yarn plus a mohair. And I will drop down on a needle size. I did a 4.5mm needles, even though the pattern recommends 5. I did that because I wanted the closer gauge, and I think I just need to start dropping down. We've talked about this, but like I'm now, from now on, basically dropping down half a needle size or more on most patterns that I knit, because I'm a loose knitter. I'm mostly on gauge, and I mostly followed the pattern. I don't know if the pattern actually calls for a double folded neckband. I'm not sure, but I'm going to do one anyway. I also need to modify the length. I bound this off, but à l'arrache, so like just very quickly, because I'd started doing an Italian bind off, and then I tried it on and I was like, I think this is too short, and it's too short. So I don't know, I didn't want the rib to be that long, but I don't know if I can be asked to go back and undo the ribbing and just knit in stockinette. So I might just elongate the ribbing. I don't know, we'll see how we feel about it. But it's been nice. It's been a very brainless? That doesn't sound very flattering. It's been a very mindless project. Sorry, I should have mentioned, it's a raglan sweater at a 17 stitch gauge. It's oversized. Those are the features. It's very simple, but it's beautiful in its simplicity. It's very similar to the stripe overload polo that I was going to knit. I was planning on knitting this yarn combination with. It's very similar to that. My original plan was just to modify the neck on that one. I didn't need to do it here. So yeah, I felt like those two patterns for me were interchangeable to use. And yeah, I got to try somebody else's pattern writing style, which I thought was great. Yeah, it's very oversized. I will say that, it's very oversized. I picked the size 3. Yeah, the size 3. And I think that has like 25 centimeters of positive ease or something. There are instructions in the pattern to reduce the positive ease, which I thought was great. In general, the whole thing's very oversized, but we know that I love that. The neck was really wide before I started pulling it in with the sort of neckband. And I don't think I really followed the pattern instructions for that. I think the pattern instructions are like 9 in every 10 or something like that, and I definitely picked up a lot less. So that is one thing I'll say about this pattern, is that the neck ends up quite wide. The one thing I struggled with, though, it's really bad here, because entirely my own fault, but I was doing, yeah, because you can see that. I hope it will resolve itself a little bit with blocking out, but I was using various different methods for jogless stripes. And the one I was using along the side just wasn't working out for me. Whatever way I did it, it was creating, it was just weird. I can't remember why it wasn't working out for me. What I ended up doing was I ended up laddering down and removing all of my jogless stripe work and just picking back up as I would regular. And it worked out really nicely along here, which is where my beginning of round was. But it didn't work out super nicely on the body, and I have this sort of like laddering, which I'm sure is down to a bunch of things that I did wrong. I think if I were to do it again, I would have moved the beginning of round, especially for like this front of the jumper, to the other side of the sleeve, which is something that you can totally do in the pattern. I just didn't really think about it. And yeah, it's not the neatest in the world, but it looks way better here. The side seams, not so much. But I think I will rectify that anyway, because what I wanted to do, me back on my like adding weird details to jumpers for no reason, is I wanted to do a little crochet pickup chain along all of the seams to kind of make it seem like a faux seamed jumper. And I thought that could be quite cute alternating the yarn. So doing two in green, two in blue, two in green, two in blue. And then doing that along the side seams and maybe along the sleeves as well. Don't ask me why. This is what I want to do, but this is what I want to do. I want to add weird details to all of my jumpers for some inexplicable reason. And yeah, I'm having a good time. The sleeves were super quick. That was fun. I'm happy I'm done with the sleeves. I was really like just marinating in Sleeve Island and kind of hating it. So I don't know, this jumper felt really slow. It felt like I had nothing to do with the pattern or the jumper itself. I actually think it was really quick. Like I pretty much finished it since we last spoke. You didn't see any of these but yeah, I just felt, I think I'm just a really slow knitter. I don't know. I just felt like I was really slogging through it. And I just think maybe it's been a while since I've just knit just a jumper, like just a regular jumper, even though this is also just a regular jumper. But yeah, it was also that I think this was on like 6mm needles. So yeah, I think that it just felt like a bit of a slog, which doesn't bode well for all of the 4mm projects that I want to be doing shortly. God, I'm tired of listening to myself even. Okay, so yeah, so that's my current work in progress. I'm very much almost done. I will need another stockinette project in my life after I'm done with this one. But after I'm done with this one, I'm also really hoping to put in some more time. You know what I'm about to bring out. I don't actually remember the last time I took this out of the bag. It's a shame because I was having a really good time with it. But I just started on this project and I just got locked in, and I've had a lot going on like travel wise, and so yeah, this is really just sat on the back burner. But my guys, I have a lot of a sleeve, maybe 2/3 of a sleeve here. Wow, that's actually more than I remember doing. Sorry, this is my Dagmar jacket, which has been on the needles for a minute. And we're quickly entering a season of not being able to wear this, but I want to get it done before the next autumn. So I want to have it. So I will keep working on it. Yeah, these are, I think in my last podcast, I'd basically turned it into a vest. Like it was like sleeveless. I stopped at what I thought was the recommended length or a good length for it because I wanted to essentially block it before I figure out what the length is and what I need to sort of be doing with it. And yeah, since then I've done most of the ways of a sleeve. I kept saying I was going to change the sleeve. I didn't end up changing the sleeve at all. I think when I came to it, I was just kind of like, no, I quite like her vision. Sorry, I should have trusted petite knit the whole way along. And I kind of just fell in love with these little like what is that, honeycomb cable, like one honeycomb. I thought was really cute, and I wanted to add in another braid, but then I was like, there's not really space for it. So yeah, I just went with the original pattern, which I think, yeah, I'm good with that. I don't remember what I did here. When I picked up, I did shift all of the, this is something that I saw in quite a lot of Ravelry projects for the Dagmar. I just shifted all of the cables over more towards the front so that this back 2-stitch cable lines up with the shoulder line here. So it becomes just this like one continuous line, which I quite liked. And it also means that you get more, well, because also because it's a drop shoulder, it actually makes more sense because this is kind of where the natural fold would be. It actually feels like that is where traditionally you should have the cable. I think originally it's all the way back there. I cannot for the life of me remember what I did, so don't ask me, but I'll have to do it on the other sleeve, so maybe I'll write it down. But probably there are people on Ravelry that have documented it a lot better than I have. And I don't know, I think I really loved the idea of this cardigan, but I also couldn't really figure out in my head like ways I would style it. But again, I feel like I'm drawing back on Simone Rocha, and I feel like this is a very Simone Rocha piece if you add in the right styling. And I may even, I'm like scheming. I may even add in some like pearl or like faux pearl details, which I think is like a very Simone Rocha in like touch. Can you tell that she's just like taken over my life recently? But yeah, I think I finally like contextualized it in my style, which I think is good because it'll probably motivate me. And to the person who said that they might help me out with yarn when I eventually run out, make yourself known. Please message me on Instagram so that I can pay you for some yarn. This is all I have left, I think, currently, which it's not looking good, is it? Yeah. But everything I've been knitting. Oh yeah, okay, sorry. The one other work in progress, which again I mentioned in my last video, I don't have with me because, as I said, it's always in the car. The car's not here. I usually film when Ray is out, so he takes all of my car knitting projects with him. But yeah, my Miles tee, I'm just about finishing a sleeve right now. I'm definitely playing Yarn Chicken. I had like 2 half balls left to do the sleeves of the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. Yeah, but I feel I can see the home stretch, which I'm really excited about. Almost done one sleeve. The sleeve is working a lot quicker than the body was, and so I feel like I really will see some progress. We also have quite a lot of car journeys coming up, so I think it will get its time. I really enjoyed working with the Pure Silk, and I continue to enjoy it. I think at first I struggled with it. I couldn't really get my head around it, and I know it's like a love-hate thing. Like a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. I enjoy it. I'm a little bit concerned about how it will wear, because even just from knitting that thing over the course of like practically a year at this point, it feels like it will pill, or that it will start to look not presentable relatively quickly, because it's quite matte. Like an actual silk has sheen to it. Oh, sorry, it is an actual silk. An actual non-cruelty-free silk where they stab the little worms. In a non-cruelty-free silk, you usually get that sheen, and I think that kind of helps with it looking more polished. But this sort of matte silk, I don't think it will wear that well, which is tough, I think, for something that I've spent so long knitting. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. But I did enjoy knitting with it, and I will knit with it again. I think it's a good balance for a summer yarn. Like there's no wool in it. You don't have to worry about the way that you wash it, the same way as like a cotton merino, for example. And because, you know, in summer knits, you tend to sweat more, you tend to need to wash your knits more. And yeah, I think it just, the feel of it feels luxurious to knit with, and it wasn't splitty for me. Like I see the complaints, but after I got used to it, and it doesn't hurt my hands the way that cotton does. When I was knitting with cotton, I would literally get like blisters from just the manipulation of the rubbing against my fingers, whereas, you know, this is really lovely to knit with. It's a bit like knitting with Lena or with Drops Bell. It's a bit like knitting with that if you've knit with those, but not the Pure Silk. And yeah, overall, I would recommend it. Trying to think, is there anything else? I feel like I've been knitting more. I think it's because the scrunchies have just taken up such a space in my life, and now that they're over, I just don't know what to do with myself. For plans coming up, I'm about to finish this. I want to cast on something else that's stockinette. I feel like I have a lot whirling around in my brain right now in terms of like patterns, and I don't have a solid idea of what I want to knit next. But I did mention I just wanted something plain and grey and boring with, again, sneak peek of the haul, but with this yarn, the Victoria yarn that I got in Portugal. I swear that gives me powers. I did want to knit something with that, and then I was like kind of struggling to think of inspiration, and then whilst looking at Simone Rocha again, I'm just a broken record at the moment, forgive me. I saw this cardigan, which has an open back, which is not the vibe, but the sort of the hip circular ribbing thing along the hips I love, and I think I could definitely do without having the open back. If you've seen, I cannot remember the name, but there's this tank top, actually no, I think it's called the pie top, pie something, and it has that beautiful curve, and it's such a gorgeous summer knit. I feel like I want to do that, but on a cardigan, and then have these little, like this curved ribbing section that kind of just dangles a little bit. And so it would mean, you know, when you're knitting in it, you're doing the cardigan and then you're knitting back and forth, and once you get to a certain point in the body, you start to bind off and create like a curve, and then I would pick that up later and do ribbing, and then somehow need to figure out how to do like a tubular cast on one side and then a tubular bind off on the other side. That is something that has been playing on my mind a lot recently, so I may cast that on next. But I'm also kind of liking the idea of casting on a bunch of different smaller projects, like the vest that I mentioned, or, you know, a bunch of other things that are sort of more snacky, which I feel like goes well with spring and also goes well with the attention span that I have right now as I'm working on my wedding dress and I'm doing all of these other things. So yeah, so maybe that's what will happen instead, rather than like a full cardigan 4mm needles, you know, like intense work in progress. Now, depending on how much I will edit this down, I want to include a quick book corner, because I've talked about books a little bit on this channel and just generally in some of the more vloggy parts of my YouTube, and I'm really in a place where I'm like trying desperately to break into reading. I'm buying all the books. I know how to do that. I have a beautiful library of books that I've thrifted. I look at books in every charity shop that I go into, and I'm really interested. I watch a lot of content of people reviewing books. I get a lot of book talk recommendations, stuff like that. So lots of people do media corners. I want mine. We watch a lot of TV, but I think we're often very behind and not really talking about the zeitgeist of sort of TV and media. So I want to talk about books. I'm starting it, and if I talk about books, then hopefully I'll read more books. It'll be limited to the podcast because I think I don't podcast that often, so that will give me a chance to read more books to talk about. I have 3 that I've read, 3 that I'm reading, and 3 that I bought that I'm just gonna briefly 5-minute thing, just talk about books. It's not like a book review, but well, it is kind of. Yeah, if books aren't your thing, feel free to just close it off here. I will also have another video coming for the yarn haul, which again I know isn't everyone's thing, but yeah, feel free to watch that if it's coming, if you see it, if it's out, whatever. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you are staying, here are some books. I just want, so you know, my taste in books generally is speculative fiction, literary fiction, and like I'm really into like the original books that turned into movies and TV shows. It's like a weird niche thing that I'm just quite into reading. I always like comparing them, and I tend to like to read the book before I watch the thing. There's actually 4 books that I've read, but this is like, bear in mind, this is since the beginning of the year. I think maybe I finished 1 other book aside from these. So that literally a book a month is the current speed that I'm working at. It's not great, but we're trying to get better. I read Stoner, John Williams. I'm annoyed that I hadn't read this earlier. This is a beautiful book, incredible. It gave me Never Let Me Go vibes in the sadness and in the sort of just like depiction of life the way it is, even though Never Let Me Go is sci-fi and this is 100% not. I finished it, and I just wanted to give it to everybody I knew. I wanted to buy a copy and give it to everyone I knew, and then I basically found out that everyone had already read it because it's incredible. Stoner is about a man called Stoner, his last name. He is a man who lives a very ordinary life, and this book sort of chronicles that from the age where he's like 18 to the age where he is no longer with us. I wasn't having a good time whilst I was reading it. Like I wasn't enjoying it, and then I finished it, and you sort of compute everything that's happening, and everything that it says about life, and yeah, I cried like a baby. I cry a lot during books, so I don't know if that says anything, but yeah, it's just, if you haven't read it, give it a go. Yeah, really, really, really gorgeous book. I want to reread it like literally before the end of the year is done, because it's just so good. Read a classic recently, Fahrenheit 451. I'd never read before. It was good. I enjoyed it. I think it's one of those books a bit like 1984 where you know so much about it going in just from like popular culture, and like I feel like a lot of modern sci-fi draws from a lot of these classics, and so it almost feels boring because this is the original, and you've seen all of the derivatives because you're late to the party. But yeah, it's a weird feeling. You should be in awe, but you're just like, oh no, I've seen this done before, but this was the original. And the same for, yeah, there we go. It literally says, stands alongside Orwell's 1984 and Huxley's Brave New World. And it's good. It's a good book. It feels very modern. Actually, don't know when this was written. 1953. It feels very modern. It's not a slog in the way that some classics are, where you're really having to sort of adapt your brain a little bit. It reads like any other modern science fiction, which I think is great. And is obviously a very important work. I just feel like I felt like I wanted to get more. I think I'm just too young to like appreciate it. Is probably the problem. But yeah, I'm glad that I read it. I'm glad that I've sort of covered that classics ground. Two books I disliked. This awful, hated. Dolly Alderton has written quite a few books that are very like popular Instagram book talk type books. I think I just needed something easy, just a little bit light. I think I was going through a tough time at the time, and I finished this pretty much in like 2 sittings, I want to say. But that's not because I think I just wanted to get it out. I just wanted to get it off my plate, because I hated it so much. And I don't know, what's that other one that she read? I think that's more autobiographical. Everything I Know About Love. I do still want to try that, but I hated this. This is about a girl in her 30s dating while all of her other friends are like in solid relationships. And it felt like revenge porn for the author, because by the time you get to the end, everyone that's wronged her is apologizing to her in like these like stupidly profuse ways that would never happen in real life. Where they're like, I acknowledge everything that I've ever done badly to you, and you're the best. Main character, Nina, I think is her name. And it just felt so sort of far away from reality. It just felt like she was this like Molly Sue, just like this idealistic, can do no wrong kind of character. It's supposed to be a portrayal of somebody that's like flawed and, trying to like work their way through life. But it in the end, it just comes off as everyone not appreciating her for the brilliance that she is, and she doesn't really have any downsides, at least not that are explored. And I just felt really one note. It's the type of like cappuccino basic bitch kind of stuff that I just don't enjoy reading, and I don't really think it says anything about anything. There is also a subplot about her dad having dementia or Alzheimer's, which I actually think was treated well, but yeah, the rest of it, garbage. Good Omens. Obviously, Terry Pratchett is not, it's the other way around. Who am I talking about? Terry Pratchett. Everyone loves Terry Pratchett. Neil Gaiman is not our favourite person at the moment, but I do still want to read through some of his works, even though I don't want to buy, I will never give him money, but I do like his style of writing, and there are a lot of things that I want to catch up on, and Terry Pratchett's also fun. I wanted to read the book because I wanted to watch the TV show, and it's a cult classic, and a lot of people really adore this book, and I wanted to know why. Also, I think like recently it's come out that basically Terry Pratchett wrote most of it, so I felt a lot better reading it. And I didn't get the hype. I think I get why people love it, but I think I was waiting for it to get really cult classic-y. It felt a lot like a Stephen King or a Terry Pratchett, or in the way it was sort of episodic, and the way it kind of like flitted from, you know, character to character. It felt very in line with those genres, authors' works. But yeah, I didn't fall in love. If I see the TV show, I might change my mind. But yeah, I know a lot of people love this book, and I'm happy that I read it, but I wouldn't read it again, let's say. We're back. We cleaned up a bit. The 3 I'm currently reading. Authority is the second book in the Jeff Vandermeer Southern Reach trilogy. I read Annihilation last year, and I loved it, like very intensely loved it. Loved how creepy it felt, loved the prose, loved how like nature eco forward it was, and yeah, I also love the movie, which is Alex Garland. I love Alex Garland, so, and the movie and the book are very different things, I feel like, but I still loved both. Authority is the second book. I'm not sure how I feel about it currently. What am I, midway through? And it's a lot more bureaucratic, and it's set in the sort of the Southern Reach is the actual facility that monitors the Area X that Annihilation is about, and it's the whole point of Annihilation, and I think it currently is that there's this like big zone that's been cordoned off and sort of protected by military, where something really strange is happening, and it's like in a marshy sort of, there's a lighthouse, and in the first book you're sent as an expedition with a bunch of women, and they go through the Area X, and they're like, what's the deal? And one of them's a linguist and the other one's a biologist, and they all have these different roles, and they're trying to sort of gather information about the area. And then in this book, you learn a lot more about the sort of behind the scenes, and, you know, the story behind some of the previous expeditions, and you know, there's a new guy that's trying to take control of the department, and yeah, it's different. It's a lot more sort of, yeah, bureaucratic. Like, it's not as vibey as the original, because the original is set in the area that they're talking about. But I did know that about this going in, and I think Acceptance is different then again, which is the third book in the trilogy, which I don't have and I need to buy, but I think I'd like to buy the 10th anniversary version, which is beautiful. And the fourth book just came out, called Absolution, and yes, I'm enjoying it. We'll see. I Who Have Never Known Men, again, oh dear, I think I've lost my bookmark. I picked this up in the airport because I have been trying to thrift it for the longest time and I haven't found it. I think I'm midway through, maybe. Oh no, I'm here. Okay, I'm like a third of the way through. Bless me. This book has been hyped a lot, so I think because of that, my expectations were a bit high. Again, I'm only part of the way through, so I've yet to sort of know how I really feel, but so far so good. I think probably it's one of those books that has more of an impact once you've finished it. So I'll hold my opinions. But yeah, I'm reading this currently. I haven't read any of this in a while, but this was another one that I bought in an airport years back, started to read, dropped it, then tried to get back into it again at the beginning of the year, and have failed. Sorry, it's Killing, I don't actually know how to say that, Commendatore by Murakami. Yeah, I'm not getting on with it. I'm almost to the end. It was one of those that I was like, I just want to finish it because I spent a lot of money on the book. But yeah, I'm about here. And I have this really annoying habit of sort of like flicking forward, and you know, when I'm like at the end of a reading session and just kind of like flicking forward and seeing if I can like get a vibe of what's to come. And I think I've done it to the point where I'm like, oh, this book is like about nothing. So what are Murakami books about? Do I have to tell you what all of the books are about? You can read the blurbs. I'm not good at this. But it's about a painter who's isolated in the woods, and then he finds a painting that's very murderous, and then he sleeps with a bunch of people because of course it's a Murakami book, and all of his portrayals of women are awful. And there's a young girl, and there's intrigue, and there's weird stuff going on, and it's all very like surrealist, but it will probably get to the end and I will have no idea why any of those things happened and what the significance was, but I'll have felt eerie, and that's all I ever really want to feel. So that's where I'm at with that. The books that I bought recently, two of which I bought at the library Lello, which is why they're beautiful. They were also very expensive. War of the Worlds is just a very beautiful hardback edition. I think I read it a long time ago, but I don't think I have it in my like library, in my like collection. So I felt like it was a good purchase, and in such just beautiful format, it felt like a crime not to buy this. I think this is their special edition versions of the books. I also got Death at Intervals whilst I was there, and another book somewhere, because they were having a feature of Saramago. Wanted to read this book for a really long time, and I found others of his in charity shops, but I've never found this one, and it was the first one that I wanted to read, so I bought this full price, and I'm happy. What was annoying is that they had really beautiful like different covers in all of the different languages, like in Spanish and in Portuguese and in French, but in English they only had these covers, which I don't like as much, but I do like the vintage classics spines. I have quite a few of those, so yeah, I just won't look at this. I'll just look at this. I picked this up in a charity shop, and I'm really happy that I did. I have it on Spotify downloaded, I think, but I tend to actually not listen to books that regularly. And I read Lapvona last year. These are both by Tessa Mosveg. This is my year of rest and relaxation. And I read Lapvona last year. I didn't get on with it, but I think a lot of people didn't, and I think this one is definitely more renowned, and so I'm excited to read this. That's it. That's my book corner. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I need to tell you plots. I don't know the plots of these. This is about somebody that takes a year out of their life to do literally absolutely nothing. This is about death, but in a bureaucratic way. Death stops taking people in one country. So, and it's kind of about the sort of political ramifications of that, and it's from a very like drawn out perspective, and then I think it focuses on some personal stories. I think Saramago has done a lot of very interesting works that are sort of focused on like concepts like this. War of the Worlds, I mean, there's the Tom Cruise classic, but it's also a classic sci-fi story that I can't remember if I've read or not, but I love sci-fi. That's what those books are about. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Good to see you back if you're back. I need to go charge something to keep on with the rest of the video, so I'm gonna go do that, and yeah, stay tuned for the yarns if you're into that kind of thing. I hope to speak to you again soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye bye. Bye. Cammy, why is your face so dirty? Oh. Oh, what a good row. Why are you both right? Zuko, come here. Give me your gunks. Give me your gunks. What? What? It's gonna be tight, but yeah, you can come up. Come on. I don't know, people must wonder why Zuko never joins me. That's because Zuko hates me and only loves his father. But you love me. Hello. You will have to get down if you're gonna be too crazy. You have crazy in your eyes. You have crazy in your eyes. Chaos dog. Chaos dog. Chaos dog. Oh yeah. Chaos dog.